I'm still going to be that zealous advocate for the client. Ultimately, her case was dismissed. We argued that the matter has been continued far too long, and the judge today found in our favor, and we got the case dismissed 4 months early. So I am the middle of five children. I have two older sisters and two younger brothers. The middle child is notorious for being, or at least I am notorious for being the negotiator, kind of between the other siblings. So that's always kind of what I've done, is been that little negotiator in the family, and getting everybody to come back together. And that's kind of what I try doing with all of my cases, really, is, we have a problem. Let's come together. Let's find a solution. And that's why I like civil cases. Criminal cases, I also do criminal cases, but as it relates to civil cases, it's really just the negotiation and bringing people back to the status quo where they were before this issue happened. Building a strong connection with the clients for me is making it a client center focus. There is no set script for how an attorney will handle your case. You might have some issue, and an attorney can hit the ground running, and you told him you had that issue, so he's going to bill you and he's going to do it that way. I handle my relationships and my clients. I communicate every step of the way. We come to an agreement on where we're going. We come to an agreement on the roadmap, and we decide on where we're going to take this thing. People get the most frustrated about the speed the court process happens and what can be done every step of the way. So if a case is started and we're in the discovery process, we filed the complaint, an answer's been filed, and we're moving right along. A client may say, okay, let's get this thing done. Well, now the ball's rolling. We have to get discovery done. We have to perhaps do depositions. We've got to do several things before we get to the end goal here. So timing is one of those things that people often get frustrated about. So as it relates to timing, I tell my clients right from the start, this is going to take a while. We have a few options where it could go quicker. Here's how we could do them. We could use these discovery tools. We could use these motions right away. This is what it's probably going to cost you if we want to use this fast route. We could also take it the slow route. This is what it's going to cost you. So I kind of go through a cost pattern. And, I believe that every case you kind of have to look at it as a financial decision, as if you're investing in the stock market. So I try to educate my clients and get on the same page with them. So as I am right now, I'm a one-man show. The law firm scheme is that you have several attorneys that are partners, you have several attorneys that are associates, you have several staff that are working with you, and everyone is kind of working together generally on a case. Therefore, you're paying for the partner, you're paying for the associate, you're paying for the staff, you're paying for the building, you're paying for the insurance, you're paying for everything related to this business rather than just this specific attorney. Myself, as I am a one-man show, and I intend to use this sort of business practice in the future with expansion, trying to keep the expenses as low as possible for the law firm to keep the expenses as low as possible for the client. If my expenses are low, your expenses are low. I recently helped a lady who was managing a property for her aunt who lived in another state. She broke up with her boyfriend. Her boyfriend was staying at this house. They broke up. Obviously, she wanted him out of the house. Her aunt gave the green light. This girl filed these documents before I got involved in the case. So I jumped in the case. I helped get the documents cleaned up. And despite him failing to not really have any lease violations, he didn't really have any lease violations. He did pay his rent, but we did still get him evicted. He had a little bit of time to get out, but another success story I can think of that happened within the last month or so was an expungement I filed for a friend of mine. He had a few records back from when he was in high school. He did, just like what every high school boy does, and gets in trouble here and there. Um, he felt like these were holding him back on his next step in growth for himself. So he came to me and he said, "Hey, can I seal these documents? Can I expunge them? Can they be destroyed?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely. Let's. It's been some time. It's been 5 years since you've had these charges. Let's go ahead and get them destroyed. Actually, let's go ahead and get them expunged." And he was on board, and we went there, and initially the state's attorney said that some specific charges, the felonies and the misdemeanors, they would be discharged and expunged, but the traffic charges would not. Well, then we had the assistant state's attorney show up to the hearing. I negotiated with him before the hearing, and then we actually were able to get all the charges expunged, including the traffic citation. So, friend, you are a free man, and you have 0 charges on your record. So, congratulations, my friend. I am on the board of directors for the Cumberland County Life Center. It is a nonprofit for the elderly in Cumberland County. That's where I reside. And elder law has always been important to me, in that the elderly can sometimes be neglected when their families are not involved in their lives. And this organization is there to assist these elderly, get them a warm meal, put on events for them, and gives a place for them to spend time with people during the day. So I'm on the board of directors for that, and I'm also involved with the Illinois State Bar Association. I'm on several councils there, the legal technology, insurance law, education law, elder law, and school law. I've been involved in a few different ones at different times, but those help me also, reach out with people up north, because Illinois is an interesting state where Chicago law is almost its own separate thing up there. The attorneys down here, we don't really practice up there, and they don't really practice down here. They would find someone down here for a case down here, and we would find someone up there for a case up there. So it gives me a chance to reach out and talk to the attorneys in, the Windy City up there. And locally, I've also put on a few elder law clinics where I've discussed the benefits of wills and powers of attorney. I've also put on estate planning clinics where I offer reduced flat rates for wills and powers of attorney. That way, people can go to this local building, which it was set up at the Life Center, go to this local building during the day, whenever they can get over there, and get their estate planning knocked out. And it's just trying to get people educated and access to the law in any way I really can. The first thing I typically tell people is to take your emotion out of your legal dispute. It sometimes seems counterintuitive, but ultimately, civil disputes are financial issues and disputes. So you have to look at it as if you're investing in the stock market. Would you go watch a commercial or watch something on TV and it says, be passionate about this, go invest in this stock right now. You're going to lose everything if you don't. No, I think you would probably be reasonable. I think people, 30, 40 years ago probably would fall for that, but I don't think we would today. But look at your case as a financial decision and keep your emotions out of it. If someone is unsure about their legal options, most of the time you can call around to your local law firms in the area, and many of them give free consultations, even over the phone on that first call. They'll give you some idea of what issue you're dealing with, and perhaps even the exact legal statute you're dealing with, what exact issue. That way you can kind of research it yourself some more, understand a little more of what you may be dealing with, and decide ultimately whether you're going to make that financial decision and be involved with the legal system. As always, communication with client is key. So immediately when you find out this is a complex issue, you communicate with that to the client. To me, a complex issue would be where the law can go one way or another. It depends on really what court it's at, and which does happen. You'll have, in Illinois, for example, courts down near the cities that'll side a different way than courts that are out in the country, in different political areas as well. If they're right-leaning or left-leaning, it depends how a court may decide a case. So if you have a complex issue, you would definitely want to communicate that with the client, first of all. Then you're going to want to deep dive into your research, and I mean spend a few hours finding out everything there is to know about that issue. And that way you can kind of wrap your own head around it. That way you can wrap your client's head around that complex legal issue. Navigating it, you then discuss the different ways to the client that the court could decide that particular issue, and ultimately you go to the courthouse and you argue your motion or whatever it may be, and you win the case. I do the juvenile abuse cases in both my local counties here, which does involve family issues. But I don't like family law cases because it is really an emotional versus emotional case. That's what it is. I like to look at the cases as financial issues. I tell my clients that, to look at them as financial issues. But navigating them can be difficult for people, and I often just try to pull them back in as hard as I can every time I pay attention to them getting emotional. Bring them back towards our roadmap on where we want this case to go, where we need it to go. Keep the emotion out of it. Don't do anything rash. Don't post anything on social media poor about the other person. Keep your comments to yourself, and let's just get this thing wrapped up and maintain composure. That typically works. Some people do still get emotional, and it does bite you typically. So I had a client who continued interrupting the judge a few weeks back, and he was held in contempt right there at the courtroom. Put in his little timeout chair for 10-15 minutes, and then came back to the courtroom and apologized to the judge. And so that's the importance of keeping your emotions out of it. You think more clearly, and you make more intelligent decisions. I had a huge win a few weeks ago, and it was just a motion hearing where I'm driving to the courthouse. I park my car. I grab my bag. I'm starting to walk up the courthouse steps, and I look over to my left, and there, within the eye shot of the courthouse steps, is the business I am going against right now for this motion hearing. So, I kind of do a little gulp and walk into the hearing, and, note that, though, hey, this judge will likely know that business is right there, right next to the courthouse. Nonetheless, that business, however, brought their general counsel to the hearing. They did not bring a litigation counsel. So I kind of knew that I had a foot up there. I ultimately did win the hearing. The judge found in my favor, and so that was a huge win, beating the general counsel of a big business that is quite literally at the back of the judge's head in local small town Illinois. In the criminal aspect, when a cop tells you you have the right to remain silent, he might also be hinting at you to shut up, because many times every single thing you state when you're being interrogated by a police officer is being written down and recorded, and today it's being recorded, or if not, it's being written down, and it's being shown in the officer's perspective. So what you might believe you're saying is helping you out and is doing you a favor, it probably isn't. So it's many times best just to keep quiet and just answer questions and go on your way many times. In the civil aspect, people tell me they don't know this. In Illinois, for example, if you die and you are married and you have kids, let's say you are married with a wife and you have one child. So you die and you have all your assets. It doesn't automatically go to your spouse. It's not 100% directly to her. It'll actually be split 50% to your spouse, 50% to your child. So if you do not have an estate plan set up, it would probably be in your interest to get that set up, because you may not want your 2-year-old son or 3-year-old daughter or what have you to have possession of half of your estate. I wish I could guess, but I know it's not enough. I need it to be more. And I like that I am staying close with my legal practice, because many of the people I see in the courthouse are the people I know. It's the people that I will see at Walmart a few weeks from now. It's the people that I'll see buy a house 10 years from now. And I just want to continue impacting and making that difference in our local community. So getting started with being a lawyer, it's kind of a cool thing to study. It can actually be anything. You can get your bachelor's in anything you choose, and then you go and you take your law school admission test, the LSAT. I think the top score there is a 180, if I remember correctly. You take that, you get into law school, and then you have 3 years of law school. The route I took, I had so many dual credit from high school that I got my bachelor's in 3 years, went to law school here in Southern Illinois, took my 3 years there, took the bar exam, and became a lawyer. That's the last step, is you go to law school for 3 years, and you then take the bar exam for the state that you want to practice. After you pass law school, you are officially a Juris Doctorate. Unfortunately, us lawyers are not called doctors. We are called esquires. I don't know why. Don't ask me. We are Juris Doctors, but we are not considered doctors. So you receive your Juris Doctorate after law school. You then go take the bar exam, which is only offered twice a year. So that's the worst part about that. If you fail, you have to go take it again 6 months later, basically. Some states have reciprocity with other states, which means that if you passed in Illinois, you could go easily be a lawyer in another state. Just a few applications, and it's a simple process. I took the last bar exam before we switched it to the uniform bar exam, which has reciprocity with 25 different states. So I have just a Illinois license with no reciprocity, which is what I have. So if you take it now, you would have reciprocity with 25 other states, which is really cool. So that's how you become a lawyer. back in the old days, like Abraham Lincoln days, they actually didn't even go to school. They just started training as like a little helper with another lawyer. So Abraham Lincoln, for example, literally just started working for a lawyer, was his little secretary, and then became a lawyer at that guy's practice. So times have changed, but the law has not that much.